I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am, typing on my phone in the parking lot outside my office because I can't bring myself to go home yet. My wife and I have been together almost 9 years, married for 5. We met in college, grew up together, built our adult lives side by side. She used to be my best friend, the person I told everything to. We weren't perfect, but we were steady. At least, that's what I believed. The first cracks were subtle. She started going out with co-workers more often. Happy hours, team dinners, networking events. At first, I encouraged it. I wanted to be the supportive husband. But then those nights became longer, and later, and more frequent. She'd come home smelling like someone else's cologne, laughing at her phone, distracted, distant. When I asked how her night was, she'd give me one-word answers. Fine. Busy. Tiring. The warmth in her voice was gone, replaced by something flat. I told myself it was just stress, that I was overthinking. But my gut was getting louder every day. Then there was the way she started rewriting our history. Little comments at first. You never listened to me. You don't make me feel special anymore. It confused me because I remembered all the nights I stayed up with her when she cried about work. All the weekends I skipped friends to be with her. Suddenly, I was the inattentive husband in her story. And the more she said it, the more I started doubting myself. I'd lie in bed next to her, staring at the ceiling, wondering when I became the bad guy in my own marriage. She stopped touching me. No hand-holding. No leaning into me on the couch. She'd pull away like my body was in the way of something else she wanted. That hurt more than any argument. Distance is louder than anger. The night everything shifted. She forgot her laptop at home. She had rushed out for work, already late, already irritated. I noticed it sitting open on the kitchen table. I wasn't snooping. At least, not at first. I just want to close it. But then a notification popped up in the corner of the screen. A message preview. From a name I didn't recognize. It said, "Last night felt too real. I can't stop thinking about you." My heart dropped so hard I had to sit down. My hands were shaking as I stared at the screen, like it might change if I blinked. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted it to be a misunderstanding. But my brain already knew what my heart was trying to deny. I clicked the message. And that's when my life split into a before and an after. The messages went back months. Not days. Not weeks. Months. Long paragraphs. Inside jokes. Pet names. Photos I never knew existed. Screenshots of hotel reservations. Complaints about me. She'd call him her safe place. She told him I didn't understand her. That I was emotionally unavailable. I read it all sitting at our kitchen table. The same place we used to drink coffee together every morning. My hands were cold. My mouth was dry. Every scroll felt like another punch to the chest. I didn't even cry. I just felt empty, like my body didn't know how to react to that much betrayal at once. When she came home that evening, she knew something was wrong the second she saw my face. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just turned the laptop toward her and said, "Explain." Her eyes went wide. She looked at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. And for a second, she tried to pretend she didn't understand. "What is this?" she asked. I said, "You tell me." She sat down slowly, like her legs had given out. Then she started crying. Not quietly. Loud, dramatic sobs. She kept saying, I didn't mean for this to happen. That it just started as talking. That he understood her in ways I didn't. I asked how long. She whispered, almost a year. A year. I'd been living next to a stranger for a year. She tried to make it smaller than it was. Said they only slept together a few times. Like the number mattered. Like betrayal has a limit where it suddenly becomes okay. I asked her if she loved him. She didn't answer right away. That pause was louder than any confession. Then she said, I don't know. My stomach twisted. I told her, you don't cheat on someone you love. She said she loved me too. That she was confused. That she never planned to hurt me. I told her she planned every lie, every deleted message, every late night. That wasn't confusion. That was choice. The next few days felt unreal, like I was watching my own life from the outside. She followed me around the apartment trying to talk, trying to explain, trying to convince me this could be fixed. She deleted his number in front of me like it was some heroic gesture. She swore she'd never see him again. She said she'd quit her job if she had to, go to therapy, couples counseling, anything. I noticed how every promise came only after she was caught, not before, not when she was sneaking around behind my back. At night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe beside me and wondering how someone could share a bed with you while secretly sharing their heart with someone else. I felt humiliated, like everyone else knew except me, like I was the last person to get the memo that my marriage was already over. I started replaying every memory in my head, trying to figure out which ones were real and which ones were lies. One night, she said, "You're not perfect either." That snapped something in me. I sat up and said, "No, I'm not. But I didn't build a second relationship behind your back." She rolled her eyes, actually rolled them. That was when I realized she didn't really get it. She saw it as a mistake. I saw it as a pattern. That night, I slept on the couch. Sleeping on the couch became my new routine. Not because she asked me to, but because I couldn't lie next to her without feeling sick. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her messages, her words, her promises to someone else. The living room felt safer than the bedroom. At least out there, I didn't have to pretend everything was okay. During the day, I went to work like a robot, smiled when people talked to me, nodded in meetings. Inside, I was completely disconnected. I'd catch myself staring at my screen for minutes at a time, not reading a single word. My mind was always somewhere else, back in our kitchen, back in those messages, back in that moment when my life broke in half. She tried to act normal, made dinner, asked how my day was, sat on the couch near me like proximity could fix betrayal. Sometimes she'd cry. Sometimes she'd get defensive. Sometimes she'd get angry that I wasn't moving on fast enough. She told me I was choosing to stay miserable. That hurt, like my pain was an inconvenience to her. One night she said, "If you're never going to forgive me, what's the point of trying?" I realized then that forgiveness was something she expected, not something she thought she had to earn. About 2 weeks later, I found out she was lying again, not in some dramatic way, just another quiet, ugly truth. Her phone lit up on the coffee table while she was in the shower. I wasn't even trying to look, but the name popped up, the same one. My chest went tight. I picked it up. The preview said, "I miss you. When can we talk?" My hands started shaking. She had promised me she'd cut him off, that she blocked him, that she was done. I waited until she came out. I didn't yell. I just held up the phone and said, "You want to explain this too?" She froze. Then she went straight to anger. Not shame, not fear, anger. She said I was invading her privacy, that I was obsessed, that I was controlling, that I was the reason she needed someone else. Hearing that felt like being punched. She had cheated, lied, and somehow I was the villain. I told her, "You're still talking to him." She said, "It doesn't mean anything." I said, "It meant something when you were sleeping with him." She looked away. That was the moment something inside me shut down, not in a dramatic way. Quietly, like a switch being flipped. I stopped arguing, stopped explaining, stopped trying to convince her to care. I realized I had been fighting for a marriage she had already left. I was just the last one to accept it. That night, I packed a bag. I didn't tell her where I was going. I just zipped the bag, put on my jacket, and walked past her like she was a stranger. She said my name once, softly, unsure. I didn't stop. The hallway was cold and quiet, and for some reason I liked that. It felt honest, real, not manipulative. I drove to an old friend's place, someone I hadn't seen in years. He opened the door in sweatpants and looked at me for a long second before saying, "You look like you haven't slept in a month." I just nodded. We sat at his kitchen table drinking terrible coffee, and for the first time out loud I said, "My wife cheated on me." The words didn't sound dramatic. They sounded final. The next few days were strange. No shouting. No scenes. No her. I woke up on someone else's couch, and for a second forgot why I was there. Then it all came back. Slowly. Painfully. But with the pain came clarity. I started seeing things I'd ignored for months. How she'd pulled away long before the affair. How I kept explaining her coldness instead of questioning it. How I told myself love meant enduring everything. I finally understood that love isn't shrinking yourself for someone who's already left. She texted me constantly. At first angry, then apologetic, then like nothing had happened. Can we talk? You're overreacting. I'm hurting too. That last one almost made me laugh. Not because it was funny, but because it showed how deep her denial went. She still saw herself as a victim in a story she created. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to fix that. By the end of that week, I made a decision I've been afraid to even think about before. I wasn't going back to the apartment. Not to argue. Not to negotiate. Not to beg for honesty. I texted her one sentence. I'm filing for divorce. She called immediately. Then again. Then again. I didn't answer. I sat on my friend's couch, staring at my phone, feeling something new under the sadness. Relief. The day after I sent that text, I felt like I was walking around without skin. Everything hurt, but everything also felt sharper. I noticed small things again. The way sunlight hit the kitchen floor at my friend's place. The sound of traffic outside. The taste of real food instead of whatever I'd been forcing down before. My wife kept calling, leaving voicemails that bounced between rage and desperation. One minute she was accusing me of throwing away our marriage. The next she was crying about how scared she was to be alone. I listened to one of them all the way through. She said, "You're really doing this over one mistake?" That's when I finally understood something important. She still didn't see the affair as a choice. To her, it was an accident that happened to her, not something she did to me. A few days later, I went back to the apartment with my friend to get the rest of my things. She was there, sitting on the couch like she'd been waiting all day. She looked smaller somehow, not fragile, just less powerful. She stood up and tried to hug me. I stepped back. She started crying again, saying she missed me, that she'd do anything, that she finally realized what she lost. I believed she was scared. I didn't believe she was changed. I told her calmly, "You didn't lose me when I left. You lost me when you started lying." She went quiet after that. No yelling, no arguing, just silence. I packed my clothes, my books, a few photos I didn't have the heart to throw away yet. When I walked out, she didn't follow me. The divorce process was slow and ugly, but emotionally, I was already ahead of it. I wasn't trying to win. I was trying to be free. Some nights I still felt lonely. Some mornings I still woke up reaching for someone who wasn't there. But the pain was honest now. It wasn't poisoned by lies anymore. And that made all the difference. Looking back, the affair wasn't what broke me. The lying did. The gaslighting. The way she tried to turn my hurt into my fault. That's what really destroyed the marriage. Not the other man. Not the sex. The betrayal of reality. If there's one thing I learned, it's this. Trust your gut. When something feels off, it probably is. Don't let someone rewrite your story to protect themselves. Love doesn't require you to ignore your own instincts. And loyalty isn't proven with words after you're caught. It's proven with actions before you ever get close to crossing the line. If you're reading this and you're in that fog of doubt right now, wondering if you're crazy or just overthinking, you're not alone. And you're not weak for wanting the truth. You deserve a life that doesn't make you question your own reality. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away.